Are you feeling weaker or not getting the gains that you want? You're either doing too much, doing it badly, or just not doing it at all. And the cost isn't your muscle. It's a hormone that us men need at good levels for many, many reasons. And just to name a few, are focus, edge, and repair. Welcome to Longevity Masters. I'm your host, Grant Hutchby, and this show was made for midlife male entrepreneurs to reclaim and reverse their biological age and take control of the one asset that matters most: time. Your body needs to be treated with the same attention, structure, and planning as your business, just like an asset. The difference is very simple, that you can have multiple businesses, but you only ever get one body. The world's first biological time machine, designed specifically for male entrepreneurs to turn back time and add more years to their life, but more importantly, more life to their years. My mission is simple: to give 1,000 male entrepreneurs 10 years of powerful years of life right back. And that's 10,000 years of high performance time that we can give back to male entrepreneurs. And today we're diving into, you guessed it, testosterone and how it affects your body, your business, and your ability to reverse your biological age. Let's dive in. So again, as true to everything that we've done before, we are going to bust some myths about testosterone, and then I've got a little bit of a story for you with regards to my journey with testosterone and training and longevity. Testosterone isn't just for muscles. It's for regulating mood, it's for repair, it's for feeling confident in your day-to-day life. Men with low testosterone usually lack a level of confidence. That's why, again, not harming anything where people inject testosterone or take testosterone like steroids. When we have too high testosterone, that's where things like roid rage can come in, or anger can come in, because there's too much of it, but too little of it. And we feel weak, we feel unconfident, we feel too emotional, because we need to get the right balance of testosterone and estrogen. Yes, guys, estrogen you need as well, but it's about having the right balances between testosterone and estrogen. So testosterone isn't just for building muscle, it's for lots of things throughout the day. And I wanted to make sure that you 100% understood that before we got into this episode. And one last point before I get into my story around testosterone and training is overtraining actually suppresses the hormone that we want most. So guys, when you're spending hours and hours in the gym or training or whatever, actually too much will suppress testosterone and have an opposite effect on what it is you're actually trying to achieve. So that goes back to my point. Either you're doing too much, doing it wrong, or not doing it at all. And now I'm going to get into my story around my relationship with the gym, with training, with testosterone, and how that has affected me. So I qualified as a personal trainer about 20 years ago, 2006, and obviously learned a lot in that process. However, there was one thing that I didn't learn back then, which I learned a lot later on in life through lots of trial and error, lots of practice, lots of research, lots of reading, was we were taught about overtraining, but not really taught exactly how to identify and manage overtraining within your body. Now, what a lot of people think, and what I used to think, was that if I trained one muscle one day, I could train a different muscle the following day. Now, the science suggests that, or it's actually conclusive. So the science is conclusive that when you train, you create a systemic drain on your nervous system. And I didn't realize that back then. And I would do back and biceps one day, and then the following day do chest and triceps. And they're total opposite muscle groups. But what I wasn't allowing my body to do was to reset. And that, while the muscles weren't overtrained, my body in general was. And firstly, I probably wasn't getting as much out of my training sessions as I probably could have done if I'd have left a lot more of a rest in between sessions. But also, I was putting strain on my joints. Because if you imagine, right, if you do pushing, so chest and triceps one day, and then pulling the following day, you're still moving your shoulder joints, you're still moving your elbows. So what you're doing is you're putting additional strain on those particular joints, irrelevant of whether you're using different muscles. So yes, your muscles wouldn't overtrain. However, you'd be putting more strain on the actual joint itself. And that's my story, is back then, that's what I would do. I would do this thing called the bro split, which was chest, then back, then shoulders, then legs, and then biceps and triceps or arms or whatever. And that was 5 days a week. And what I didn't realize was the first 3 days, till I got to legs, I was using my shoulders. And that made me have some really bad injuries in my, well, firstly my right shoulder, and then it went over to my left because I was overcompensating for my right shoulder. And all I knew to do at the time when it got so bad was to reduce the weight. And yeah, I made some really good gains. I did a really good job back then. I looked pretty fit when I was in my 20s. And what I didn't work out back then was why this was happening. So it just made me afraid of training. And then I met my ex-wife and everything slipped, went back into eating, drinking, what have you, up until 2015 when I met my business partner, Kay, who is as my life partner forever and a day, love her to bits. And basically, at the point that I met Kay, I learned to get a better relationship with my training. And I learned over between 2015 and 2017 that I could manage my injuries a lot better by reducing down the volume that I was doing and giving myself more rest in between stuff. And then I found a guy called Mike Mensa. And Mike Mensa talks about one set till failure. And there is a notion around training volume, and training volume is important as well. But the idea is that you need to put your body under enough stimulus so that it can adapt. And that's where the one set to failure comes in. Is you do 1 or 2 warm-up sets, and then you do 1 set to all out failure. And that resonated with me. And the other thing that resonated with me with Mike Mensa was leaving enough rest in between workouts so your body has a chance to repair. And this is where we get into the whole hormone testosterone, is if you want testosterone to perform well, yes, you need to exercise to intensity to activate testosterone, but you also need to give enough rest so that testosterone can be utilized to repair your muscles. And if you're doing too much, or if you're not training to the right level of intensity, or you're not doing it at all, testosterone won't be activated in the right way. And that's exactly what was happening to me. I realized the point of recovery in sort of 2015, 2018. And then when I found out about Mike Mensa, which wasn't probably until 2022, 2023, that was when I realized the importance of training with intention and intensity. And as you get more experienced in the gym, what you'll need to then do is gradually add a little bit of volume up to a point to get the gains that you want. So you may start doing, instead of 1 warm-up set and 1 set to failure, you might do 2 warm-up sets and 2 sets to failure. The point I'm trying to get across is there's a strategy and intention plus intensity to your training programs. And there's also something that I realized over that period of time was the mechanical importance and the connection between your brain and the movement that you're making. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard, but some guys that are online that talk about the gym where when you're doing a movement, you really connect to the movement and focus on the muscles that you're trying to move. And the reason why that works is because you're getting the brain to motor connection. So the better you learn the motor connection between your brain and your body, the more muscle growth you can get. And also the more activation of testosterone. And it took me so long to learn this, even with personal training and learning what exercises to do, how to do them, how not to overtrain and fatigue your muscles. I learned how to not overtrain my muscles, but I didn't learn how to not overtrain my system and my joints. And that's where sometimes a limitation in basic personal training can cloud exactly what it is you need to do. So my journey was personal training and then learning the importance of rest and recovery. And then it was learning the importance of training with intention and intensity. The last thing that I learned was how to, as a very experienced person in the gym, was how to add volume to get those little extra gains that you would need as an experienced lifter. Now, testosterone can be managed in lots of different ways as opposed to going to the gym. It's managed with your diet, it's managed with your hydration, it's managed with your daily activities. But the gym allows testosterone to flourish, if that makes sense. So you need all those other things as well. But training, not necessarily the gym, could be resistance training at home, could be lots of different things. You might not like going to the gym, but everyone needs to do some form of intentional, intense strength training. And that's what sort of is the missing piece of the puzzle in getting testosterone to the levels that we need it to get to. So this brings me on to nicely about how testosterone fits into the whole body as a business analogy. Now, in the previous episode, we did serotonin, and serotonin is within the same department as testosterone. It's within the marketing department, and the marketing department has two teams: brand, whereas serotonin is under the brand team and formulating exactly how your brand and body feel. Testosterone sits under lead generation, and specifically, testosterone is your funnel manager. It's like the guy that makes the cogs turn round, that puts things in the right motion. That's the best way that I can describe the funnel manager. The funnel manager as well, it filters a lot of the noise. That's the whole point of the funnel. It filters out all the things that it doesn't want or need. Things leave as it goes through the funnel and then gets down to one point, which is giving you that edge, giving you that confidence, giving you that flow, everything that you need, which is why, again, it falls under the funnel manager employee. So that's what testosterone is. So while there's loads of other things that help promote testosterone, strength training is like the signal for testosterone. This is your permission to produce a lot more of it so that it goes and repairs the damage that have been done to your muscles, which is why when people inject or take testosterone as replacement therapy or whatever they might be doing, that's why their muscles grow bigger on testosterone, because it's like that signal. It'll go directly to it and it'll repair and make your muscles bigger quicker. So if you can work on naturally getting your testosterone higher, that's where you'll start to see a lot more gains in the gym. Now, there are other things like growth hormone, which help you repair overnight. So testosterone is not like your overnight repair, that's growth hormone. But testosterone is what gets in there and at elevated levels will repair your muscles quicker and allow you to go back stronger next time. So I've had a lot of situations over the years where I've helped people get going in the gym, absolutely. But sometimes when I help people that are experienced in the gym and they're not getting the gains that they want and they can't figure it out, usually it's down to two things. One, they're either training too much. And I have this happen a lot where people train 5-6 times a week. And because they're not allowing their body chance to rest, they're going back to the gym unrested, unrepaired, still fatigued. Their muscle might not be fatigued because they're training another muscle, and that muscle hadn't been trained maybe for 3, 4, 5, even 6 days. But because your nervous system is fatigued, you don't get as much out of the training session, and you're much more susceptible to injury. And getting a lot out of a training session is all about performance within that training session. So by doing more than you did last time, it teaches your body to adapt. And if you're not doing more than you did last time, that is a sign that you're overtraining. So if you've gone for, let's say 2, 3, 4 weeks can be, and you haven't improved by going up weight with the same reps, or you haven't increased the amount of reps that you're doing on a particular exercise, that's a sign that your nervous system needs to rest. And what can happen is it can regress as well, which means that you end up doing less. And this is another lead to burnout as well, is when you overtrain. So that's the key one. And I've had many situations where I told people to go from doing 5, 6 sessions a week to 3 sessions a week at most, and to have an actual full break from strength training for at least 24 to 48 hours, where they may do, let's say, upper body on a Monday, then lower body on a Wednesday, and then go back to upper body on a Friday. Now, they've left then at least, well, you've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you've got 3 days in between muscles. So 3, 4 days in between muscles that you're training. But then you also have got that 24 to 48 hour period in between training sessions where your system, your nervous system, is allowed to reset so that you actually get more out of the training session. And that's why recovery is more important than the training session itself. So again, you don't need to train for hours on end. Don't hold up this badge of honor of you training for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym. You only need to train between 30 and 45 minutes, and you can absolutely get enough out of your session. Sometimes you can go into the gym and spend 20, 25 minutes and get enough out of the session. The whole point is your body needs to feel stimulated when it leaves. And the way that you feel stimulated is, yes, absolutely, warm up your body, warm up your joints, warm up your muscles before you do your working sets. But your working sets, you need to have that mind to muscle connection. So really understand the movement, really connect to the muscle itself so that you can make that connection in your nervous system to the muscle. So when it comes to repair, it's almost like hormones, your hormones are employees. They know exactly where to go to work. They know exactly where to go. They know exactly what to do because you've got that neuro connection with your muscles, that neuromuscular connection. And if you connect to the movement, that's really important. And that's intention. So understanding the movement and the connection with your nervous system to the muscle is the first part. That is intention, training with intention. The intensity part is once you've got that connection, you can really connect to when it is you properly fail. And true muscular failure is taking it to concentric failure and also having a great range of movement as well. Just lose the ego. That's half the battle, is lose the ego, drop the weight, make sure that you can get a full range of motion with every exercise that you do. So it's hitting every single part of the muscle. And I'm going into personal training talk, but if you're talking about your bicep, you want to go from the point where it connects to each bone. So with your bicep, it connects up here on your shoulder all the way down to your elbow. And the only way you're going to connect to the entire length of the muscle is if you do the full range of motion. And yeah, there are some benefits to doing partial reps and things like that, but that's when you get to a really expert level of training and you're trying to target different parts of the muscle. You don't need to think about that right now. So drop the weight so that you can do the full range of motion, get the connection with your muscle. That's the intention. That's training with intention. And then you've got intensity. And intensity is true muscular failure. And true muscular failure is where you've got the full range of motion, connection with the muscle, and you're failing on the concentric part of the movement, the static part of the movement, and the eccentric. So all you're doing is nice controlled, full range of motion, They don't have to be super duper slow. They just need to be controlled. And then once you've done as many concentric movements as possible, you get to the top. You should know roughly when that is, when the last one is, and you've still got good form. So with good form, you pull the weight coming up, and then you hold it. And then you hold it for 10 to 15 seconds or as long as you can, and then lower it as slowly as you possibly can. And that's your static when you're holding it, and your eccentric when you're lowering it. And in the 10 About Time Machine, we give everyone personalized training sessions and personal support on how to do it, because everyone's got different ranges of motion. Everyone's got different things about them that might restrict the things that they can do. But that's more of the point, is doing it to your full range of motion, getting that mind to muscle connection so that you're training with intention, and then getting the intensity right on both the concentric movement, the static, and the eccentric movement. And that's how you train with intention and with intensity. Do it like that, and the right hormones will be released at the right times so that you can get the right repair, as long as you're giving your body enough time to recover. And the rules with recovery, so you've got intention, intensity, and then recovery is that you're leaving at least 3 to 4 days between training muscles. That's sort of standard. Again, everyone is slightly different, but if we're looking at standard across the board, 3 to 4 days in between training muscles. Legs, again, can be slightly longer. And training legs is really important for driving testosterone as well, because when you train legs, you train more muscles in your body than any other training session. So that has a systemic approach to generating more testosterone. But then the other thing that you've got to remember is to give your body enough time between sessions so that your nervous system resets as well, your systemic nervous system. So 3 to 4 days between muscle groups, or muscles that you're training at least, and 24 to 48 hours between actual training sessions so that your nervous system gets a chance to reset. The other thing that I've seen in people, men, when they're training, and this is going back to the brain to muscle connection and training with intention, is they're just doing the stuff wrong. You're doing the movement wrong. You're not doing it with the full range of motion. You're not controlling the movement. You're doing it with too high a weight. So there's a number of things that you can do to make sure that you're doing it right. And first thing is lower the bloody weight until you get it right. And the second thing is concentrate on the movement itself, so that it's 1, controlled, and 2, full range of motion. And you can only do that when you lose your ego and drop the weight. So to get that right, so if you are training with intensity, great. Let's not get injuries, and let's get the right mind to muscle connection by 1, connecting with the muscle, 2, getting the right range of motion, and 3, controlling the movement. So if you can do that, drop the weight, control the movement, mind to muscle connection, full range of motion, do that, and you'll be doing it properly. And if you're really unsure and you go to a gym, ask people in the gym what's the correct way to do this motion, and they'll be able to help you. If not, if you're doing it at home, look it up on YouTube. Look up particular exercises that you want to do, particular muscle groups you want to do, and pick some exercises that work. Usually the people online will demonstrate them relatively correctly, but try and avoid all these complicated movements if you're a beginner, because you just don't need to focus on that. And remember this last thing, already gone over it, but I'm going to mention it again. You can't out-train poor recovery. So if I get a message across to you right, is intention, intensity, and recovery. Remember those 3 things, and you can't go much wrong. So that's testosterone. Again, testosterone can be managed in lots of different ways. However, the missing piece to the puzzle, usually strength training. If you've got your diet right, you've got your recovery right, you've got your hydration right, and you've got your daily rhythms managed correctly, so your circadian rhythm managed right, testosterone, the final piece to the puzzle, is getting that strength training to the level that you need it to be at, and doing it correctly, as we've mentioned before. And strength training should make you more of a man, not less of a man. And if you're overtraining and overdoing it, it will make you less of a man. And if you're not doing it at all, or you're not doing it right, then it will also make you less of a man. And it will not promote the main hormone that we need to grow our muscles, testosterone. And remember, muscle size does not necessarily equal muscle strength. And we're trying to get stronger. So yes, your muscles will increase with size as they get stronger, but let's make sure they get stronger in the right way so that we are as efficient as a machine as we possibly can be. And that's what the Turn Back Time Machine is all about. So if you're interested in any of our frameworks that will help you with this and loads of other stuff as well, feel free to download the toolkit at bookresources.thecarnivoreentrepreneur.com, and that would be in the show notes. The website might change in the future, but that's what it is now, and you can always use that in the future because there'll be a redirect. And remember, if you think that someone else will like this episode, share this with them, and remember to like and subscribe so that you get notifications of future episodes on how we can help you reverse your age and get more out of your life with your loved ones, with your business, and absolutely everything that you're doing. And last but not least, remember, be young, be happy, and be free, people.